اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأجساد وشفائها ونور الأبصار وجلائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم.
الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى خصوصا على أفضلهم وخاتم النبيين محمد الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ونزلنا عليك الكتاب تبيانا لكل شيء وهدى ورحمة وبشرى للمسلمين. صدق الله العظيم. Brother Chairman, respected Imam, brothers and sisters here at Masjid Darul Ihsan in Subang Jaya in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we address or attempt to address the subject of Madinatun Nabi fi Akhirul Zaman, or the city of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam in the last age, allow me to welcome some of my students who have traveled from long distances to be with us here tonight. I cannot mention their names, of course, for security reasons. We have a family who have come from France, a husband and wife and a daughter and a little baby, and we love the baby. And we have another student who's also come from France, but originally from Africa. And we have a student from England, and we have one who was born in India, now resident in the Arab Gulf. We won't mention the name of the country, and who traveled and came day before yesterday, insisting he wants to take the Shahada with us. And he took the Shahada last night and took the name of Yaqub. He's sitting somewhere, so before you leave, do please, there is Yaqub, do please meet your brother in Islam, Yaqub, and embrace him. Make dua that Allah may preserve him in Islam, that his faith might constantly increase. He came into Islam, he said, because of his understanding of this subject, that Islam is explaining the world today. Our subject is entitled Madinatun Nabi fi Akhirul Zaman, or in English, Medina returns to center stage. Medina returns to center stage in Akhirul Zaman. And this lecture is already written out, and it is very small, so there is no excuse. And Haji Radwan has also translated it into Bahasa, and we have it published on its outside in Bahasa. So you have no excuse for not reading it. The city of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, the city that he went to when he made hijrah. And we live in a world today in which so many are making hijrah, and so many more want to make hijrah. And they increasingly look into Malaysia as a land to which they should make hijrah. So that is to the credit of the Malay people for the kind of Islam that they have preserved, the Malay people. Of course, there are others also who are Muslims in this land. There are Indian Muslims, there are Chinese Muslims, and this is not to diminish the importance of what they have contributed. But the Malay people, mashallah, they have preserved Islam. And that's why so many want to make hijrah to this country. The city of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, where he sleeps in his grave at this time. And Akhiru Zaman. What is Akhiru Zaman? It is the last age. History will not continue endlessly. There is an end to history in which truth will triumph over all rivals. And that end of history must come first before the world can end. When will the world end? We don't know. That's not our business. Only Allah knows. But when will history end? Oh yes, we do know, because Allah's Messenger gave us many, many, many signs by which we can recognize that we are living in the last age. Amongst them is this sign that you will find tall buildings. If you have not seen the tall buildings as yet, I suggest you take a taxi to KLCC, Kuala Lumpur City Center, and then look up in the sky and you will see the Twin Towers. Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam told us more than 1400 years ago that this would come. So if you can't see the tall buildings and thus recognize that you're living in the last age, Akhiru Zaman, something is wrong. Something is wrong. In this last age, there is a destiny for the city of Medina. And it is that subject that we address tonight. At the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, Medina occupied center stage in the world. Only once before had Islam been established in the world as a state. And that occurred with Nabi Dawood alayhi salam, and then with his son Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam. And it was known as the holy state of Israel. And in that holy Israel, Allah was recognized as Al-Malik. Sovereignty belonged to him. Allah was recognized as Al-Akbar. Supreme authority belonged to him. The politicians don't like this at all. No. And in that city, Allah was recognized as Al-Hakam. His law is the supreme law. And his law is enforced as the supreme law. That was holy Israel, in the Holy Land, Al-Ardul Muqaddasa. And after that, only one more time was Islam established on the earth as a state under the authority of a prophet of Allah. And that was Medina. And so Medina succeeded Jerusalem in center stage on the world stage when the Prophet ﷺ died. We knew it as the Khilafah state. The Khilafah state. A state which recognized Allah as sovereign, recognized Allah's authority as supreme, recognized Allah's law as the supreme law. What Allah made halal, the state enforced as halal. What Allah made haram, the state enforced as haram. So simple. And then came the death of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And strange things began to happen. And the Khilafah was taken out of Medina. You know the little oasis in the desert, agricultural town, having no significance except for goats and sheep and so on. So let's take it to Damascus, a more civilized city, a more famous city. And so the Khilafah went to Damascus. It went to Baghdad. It went to Cairo. It even went out of the Arab world into a new part of the Arab world, Andalusia, but still Arab. And then it went mysteriously so. And this history is still to be written by a historian who perhaps is not yet born, or maybe is now a baby, but who will one day write this history. The Dajjal, the false Messiah, was at work. When the Khilafah was taken, the Khilafah was taken out of the Arab world, taken to a people who did not have credentials to rule over the heartland of Islam. The Ottoman Empire had many things that you don't know about it, and we'll have to speak about it when we give the lecture, inshallah, I think next week, on the conquest of Constantinople in Akhirul Zaman. I think that lecture is next week, inshallah. About 100 years ago, in another 10 years from now, it will be 100 years since the transfer of power took place in Mecca. After the Ottoman Turkish rule over Mecca and Medina, which lasted for almost 400 years, an Arab Spring came to the Arab world. And as usual, it was a European engineered Arab Spring, a Zionist engineered Arab Spring, which injected the virus of Arab nationalism, in consequence of which Sharif al-Hussein, the Ottoman appointed Sharif of Mecca, rebelled against the Ottoman rule in 1916. And then in 1924, when Mustafa Kemal, I don't call him Ataturk, I call him Mustafa Kemal, when Mustafa Kemal, acting in accordance with the wishes of his Zionist masters, announced the abolition of the Khilafah. An attempt was made to bring the Khilafah back to the Arab world, where it should have been, in the heartland of Islam.